sipping whiskey from a paper cup. You drown your sorrows till you can't stand up. And take a look at what you've done to yourself. Why don't you put the bottle back on the shelf? Yellow-fingered from your cigarettes. Your hands are shaking while your body sweats. Why don't you look into Jesus? He got the answer.
Hey, thanks for joining another episode of Why God, and I'm here with my co-host Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
Wonderful. How's everyone doing today?
Good. Hey, I am really excited. I'm excited about all of them, but especially today because we have a guest that I do life with pretty consistently. Our kids are in sports together. He coaches my kids' basketball teams. And just, from the years of getting to know this guy, Tracy, it has been just a joy to watch his spirit and what an impact he makes on the community here in the small town of Placerville, California. And his reach is so much greater than that. But I won't get too deep right out of the gates, but I got to say, Tracy, I commend the work that you do and the impact on youth, man, just your passion, your heart for youth. And I know we've had conversations about God just throughout the years and how he's protected you and your family and what he means to you. So I'm excited today to just dive deeper into why does Tracy Bunch believe in God? But first, just want the listeners to get to know you. You're such a great guy. But if you wouldn't mind, just introduce yourself to everybody.
Oh man, thanks for having me. First of all,
yeah,
I'm very grateful for you and Ryan to have me on the show today. There's so many ways I can introduce myself. You know what I mean? Just a guy that loves to have fun. By way of Mississippi, all the way out here to California. And it's just been, just like a beautiful testimony as far as just living fun. And I think the youth sees that. I'm a fun, genuine person. And many kids have been affected to the fact of me just being happy, being upbeat, just making the best out of what I got and things like this and that. So I guess you can say I'm a super grateful person for this, every morning I wake up. And so in deep detail, raised by a mother that always had a conversation about God. And, she used to tell me stuff like, hey, she said, when you get away from home, she said, just pray. And so those practices as a little boy, I've learned it's just my conscience, you know what I mean? So I see things in a way of it's always like a sign or he's talking to me. And, I follow that sign and intuition, and it seems to lead me in the perfect direction. I can explain it to myself, right? So
yeah, like with that,
Tracy.
I was going to say, Tracy, with that kind of mindset, it's basically unbeatable because no matter how you slice it, what's at your core? You're a grateful person, you're humble, and that's the type of heart I feel like the Lord is looking for. So you can kind of ride the good times and the bad times, and just be able to point up. Maybe you can share a little bit about, your upbringing and how you came to California and just maybe a 10,000 foot view for us.
Ooh, Ryan, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You just opened the door. That's a beautiful way to put it. So I always be excited to tell this story. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm like the grandfather at the table that says it repetitively all the time. It's so with me, I think I had a cheat code. I always thought I had a cheat code. My grandfather was Reverend Matt Walker. Great minister. So as growing up, that's all I knew. Seeing a man help the community, go to the hospitals. And I was just privileged to carry his briefcase and meet his fellowship and his brothers and the congregation as a young man. But, coming into the world, my mom, I share with y'all because, like I said, I want to be genuine. Just always been a child that was when my mom had me in Mississippi back in 1978. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, back on a dirt road where like, you know, it was a small community of old women. And, you know, they raised me up. And so I always had a humble heart and a respect for just people because there's always like I always called it, I made a little joke. I did a speech back in the day. I made a little joke about, you remember the seven deadly venoms as a kid, like the Kung Fu? So I called these ladies, they were like the 7 old ladies in my neighborhood that I went to visit as a little kid. And they put like an attribute in me, each one, you know, kindness, discipline. And so, you know, the upbringing in Mississippi was like real fun to me. I made it fun, like you say. I slice it. And so growing up around those women and my mother, they just had a humble way of like, you know, gardening and sitting and watching Wheel of Fortune and having conversations. I found myself, I knew soap operas because I was always like interested in their lifestyle and how they did things and stuff like that. And so one thing I was really raised to do was raise children. So I was always responsible as a young man and stuff, like very mature, my conscience and things like that. So going to church, being raised by like multiple women, and then kind of like one of those kids that always wanted to make sure I did right. You know, my grandfather had a great way of not saying something, a natural consequence. And so those little things of learning the hard way sometimes and learning in a natural way and people really guiding you down the line with all that knowledge. They say like when an old person dies, the library passes. And I know that for a fact because I used to listen to the stories and it showed me a way to move through this world. And it's been perfect when it comes down to how I look at things. You know, it's ended up with a beautiful wife, you know, that I prayed for when I was a young man, right? 3 beautiful daughters that I prayed for when I was a young man. My son, you know, my junior, attitude, athleticism, like everything I've had in front of me, my friends know and people watch me because the testimony is so crazy because everything I did, it happened because I prayed for it. And I tell people beforehand, you know, we living in a nice little manifestation right now. Our God works, Ryan, Eric. I'm going to fast forward just to make sure we get there because I do rant and I might forget. So I just want to share this with you. So I am a very proud member of the El Dorado High School varsity girls basketball team. Very proud because I earned it. You know, I went through many, as a self-made coach in the community. The cool thing about it is that I'm real good about making sure people see who they are. And so when I have a youth, I can see them early. I'll be like, oh, you're going to be a doctor one day. And it's funny to them at that point until they become a doctor. And so it starts kind of traveling. So becoming a coach, it's been a enjoyment, like raising up these young ladies to see how they respond is like now all of a sudden we're first in the conference when nobody saw us coming. But in the first beginning of when we was having this conversation about this basketball team, nobody expected anything. It was a brand new team put together with conversations of not knowing each other, juniors and sophomores, and a couple of seniors. New coach. I'm coming into the scene. Nobody expected anything. But I always like laugh when it comes down like that because I believe it's destiny. And so right now, we're in first place in our conference. And the scouts of colleges are like, oh my God, like they kind of blown away. Like, who is this team? And I can tell y'all, I can share with y'all because this is my safe place. I'm talking to my brothers, you know, and God and stuff. The girls didn't believe. They didn't understand. I asked them, I said, y'all want to go get a state championship? So imagine a man standing in front of you talking the craziest he ever say. Like, you sitting there, I don't even know these girls. I don't know. I said, the reason I know we're going to get a state championship one day is because my testimony says so. I've never, ever been disappointed or worried because I know God's plan. He put it in my heart. So state championships, meeting great people like y'all, I'm living the life that little Tracy from Mississippi would be astonished. And I know that. And so just this part, this symbol of El Dorado County High School is pretty legendary where I'm from. And so, like I said, I heard a guy at the game came up, he shook my hand and said, "You are my inspiration while I coach." I said, "What?" He said, "I saw you last year, and I really enjoy how you talk to the kids, look at the kids. You're so positive." So think about this. As a man, as a little kid from Mississippi, so that's what I'm saying. It's like you can take that whole story, right? From Mississippi to like this coach in California. And you can see, oh God, it's just, that's all it is. And so, like I said, some people say, explain it. I said, well, I'm a walking testimony. That's why the kids run to me and they tell me everything, because I'm the little kid that didn't have a dad, that's in a poor state in the Union, on a dirt road, in a third generational house. You know, I respectful to my great grandmama. It was a shack, right? You know, it's leaking. You know, holes in the floor. It's a lot of like embarrassment, but like I always tell the kids that broke it, one of my main things I tell them, I said, when you're young, when you by yourself, it's lonely, right? But when you get older, it comes with a peace. And so sometimes when I'm by myself, I like to reflect about all the great things God has done for me. So when I step though, my cup is overflowing, because it's very easy for me to reflect. That make sense?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. You know, Tracy, I'm going to interrupt you right there. I think one thing that sticks
Yeah.
out and this happened Saturday, Ryan. Tracy's a encourager, right? And you see
Oh, yeah.
kids just flock to Tracy. And there's one kid on our boys team, Isaiah, and you said, and you probably just didn't even think about it, right? You go, "Come on, Cap," right? And you nicknamed him that in flag football, which, because he played quarterback at one point and he did fantastic, and he called him Colin Kaepernick. But I sat there and I told Chelsea, my wife, I was like, "Hey, did you like?" Isaiah went from like body language down here to, man, he was confident. Like, I mean, it was a split millisecond, just Tracy acknowledging him, calling him his nickname, and it just changed his whole game so quick. So you've got quite an impact on kids, and it's fun to watch, man. You're gifted in so many ways.
Thank you, Eric.
That's what I was going to say.
Man.
It's clear that his gift is relationships and people, and he's able to see things that a lot of people just can't see. And so we talked about him having like a humble and a grateful heart, and we know that's what it's about. And then so through that, he's able to have, walk around and just kind of show his light. And I don't know if it was C.S. Lewis or Chuck Swindoll, but somebody said, smarter than me, they said, the quote is I'm going to butcher it, but I'll paraphrase it for you. Preach the gospel, 7 days a week, and when all else fails, use words. And that I'm reminded of our buddy here, Tracy, because he's out there just doing it and having relationships, and he doesn't even need to he's leading kind of by example, and just he's got something special, light, and he's inspiring others. And so now I'm very curious about your testimony. That being said, because you've got all these amazing things going for you, maybe you could share your testimony with us.
Man, that's what I'm saying. Like, for me to you, I have multiple ways. Like I always tell the kids, like, do you know how to get a blessing? Like, those phrases are famous where I'm from. I'm a country boy. You feel me? So I'm real, like, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Friend. I'm real witty about things. Like, I can survive anywhere, and I'm thankful to be anywhere. Life is short, right? And so my testimony is I can say many ways. Look, check. I say it like this. I give homage to my wife, right? I say it out loud so people can understand. So this sparks love stories for all the youth when I tell them about how I met my wife, right? It's really important that we understand that I tell a guy, or I tell a young boy how to court and how to respect the lady. And you know what I mean? It's one of those things that for me, I was raised by women, so women feel real safe around me. I just know how that looks. And so meeting my wife was like, that was destiny, right? So I'm from Ballsburg, Mississippi. If you find that on the map, She's from San Bruno, California. Now, this is just one of my testimonies. So when I was a young boy, I opened up a magazine and I saw a green-eyed Italian girl. I was like, oh, that's my wife, right? I was just saying to myself when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I had my imaginary friend was actually God. That's who I would talk to. And that's my wife right there. So I'm going to do right by her when I meet her. And so going out to Texas to visit a cousin, she was coming from California to visit a friend. And when they said like love at first sight, I definitely, like I said, I love couples. I love when people, because that's to me, a couple means that God is really, really, really paying attention to you. So he sent you something great. You got a purpose now. So I'm trying to line you up and make you focus. Like I tell a young man, if you want an empire of any state of mind, when you meet her, you got to take care of, you got to do your part. You can be 18 years old and get married at 18. Now you can build your empire, because now that part of that rib, now you becoming a man. It makes you understand things that other men can't. And so he blessed me with probably the most wittiest woman I ever met in my life. Smart, beautiful, fearless, strong, kind, sweet, everything I ever asked for. So that testimony about meeting my wife in Texas at a very crossroad time, in order for me to be with her, that means that she had to let go of everything back home, and I had to let her go of everything back home, because we just met in Texas as far as visiting. So now what we're going to do, we're going to sleep on the floor. For a woman to be so beautiful and have anybody in the world, she met me at my crossroads where I was like, I didn't have nothing to give you, right? But she saw the kindness. You know what I mean? She saw that protection, that guy. But I didn't see it in myself. So that testimony for me is one of my, maybe the biggest testimony, because everything led up to that. The crossroad of being pulled into the street life of, you're not going to live that long. Those are shameful times for me, right? As a kid that's real humble and real nice, that was labeled where I'm from, soft. Being around, it's nothing out of the way, but it's just man stuff. Being named Tracy and being kind around toughness, it's not like you have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself. So, God is always, I have went through the ringer. Sometimes I tell my story to kids where I have to inspire them. I said, it's not that I don't believe in excuses. It's not that. I always like that. But excuses are manipulation for me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, give me an opportunity to feel a certain way about you. You don't have to make me, because that's it's for me, like I said, it's almost like it's making it grit. So
yeah, you're talking about find reasons, not excuses. And I love that.
Right.
That's man 101 stuff. And God bless you for that. So,
man.
So going back, you met your wife, love at first sight. How old were you?
I think I was like 21.
Okay.
And look, I met her when she was 18.
Was it both ways, love at first sight, or just you?
It was both ways. So
okay.
the move was, Ryan, it was funny. So I'm like stereotypical. I'm in Texas. My cousin has this Cadillac, like this traditional. So it's a Baritz 1985 slantback fifth wheel. One of the most. I didn't know how precious it was until I became an older guy. So we ride it with blood interior. And he's nothing special like a rich guy, nothing like that. But it was one of those things where we would just want to cruise the town. Mm-hmm. And we was cruising back to the house. And I promise you, it was just like if I could make a movie out of it, I could. So I'm sitting in the back seat and we pull around the curve. And just mind you, I'm a new guy in this city. So if the city's on fire for me, I can do whatever I want right now. And I look up and it's this girl that I've never saw. The beauty was so mind-blowing that it froze me. And I'm a very fearless person. So it froze me. And I was like, I looked at her and she kind of looked over me. So what we do, I told my cousin says, I'm gonna slide up she was walking with a friend. He said, let's pull up on him. So as we pull up on him, I'm usually the one that would conversate with anybody. And I was quiet. And my cousins were excited because her and her friend was like, her friend was nice, but she was definitely, any man would feel like she's out of my league. Like I have nothing for that, right? And so, but she noticed me. So that part was like mind blowing to me because I definitely have never felt like I could ever not like talk to a lady. So after we had I even said, like we laugh about this to this day, that we invited them by. We had just a nice spot for everybody to come by. We'll put it like that. And so she thought she was very intimidated. You know, these young men that she could tell was street pulls up on them and says, "Hey, y'all want to come over?" So she was a little worried about that, but something in my eyes made her feel safe. And she came by, and we became friends. We talked, and that was the first part. Like, man, you're a very interesting person. So we just became each other's safe place. And that's when I was saying, I looked at her like, "Oh, is this green eye?" She's like, "I'm Italian." I said, "That's got it." I said, I remember. So things like that.
So you got kindness and like a caring heart to offer her, but not much else. So what's your move? What's your move? What do you do? And were you insecure? Were you insecure?
I think everybody tells her I have this. Look, when you've been broken like Tracy Bunch as a kid, I have a confidence that is like a monster. One thing that I can't hide, and I act shy. I try to do the best I can. I'm actually the person that sometimes will try to act shy to make everybody else feel comfortable, I thought. And so I just have a radiant confidence so she could see it, see that confidence in me. Like, well, I don't know who I am yet. So I may be using my confidence for manipulation and things like that, you know what I mean, to survive. And I think that part was like, you are a product of your environment. And that's why, like I say, I am able to do the things I am for the youth because that part of, like, I know how to tap into that confidence. Like, if I can come from this, and the cool stories about things, like I had a guy that I'm real good friends with that went back to where I was from to visit in New Orleans. He said, I want to find out where Tracy's from. So he went to visit my family. And he came back with like he couldn't believe it. He's like, "How did you come from?" He's like, "I don't mean nothing by that." He's like, "But if you got to see it." He's like, "How do you come from that to who you are now? That's amazing." And I was like, "Well, it's just the fact that, like I said, God is real." So with my wife, she's I just like to give her a lot of credit because that's the part. That's the part when I became who I am today. You know what I mean? So.
Tracy, I want to go back to your upbringing and just it sounds like God, your family really modeled what it meant to have a relationship with God, and He was the focus, and the focus on prayer is so beautiful, right? And I think a lot of times we limit the power of prayer in our own lives. I know I do, because you just get caught up in the busyness of life. But my question along the way, right?
Yeah.
And this is just going back to kind of the core of what this podcast is all about. Was there ever any doubt, I think is my first question, in God, and that there is a God? And then the second one is why? Like, why does Tracy Bunch believe and know that there's a God?
Well, I think that's a great question because it brings up the struggle, the hurtful struggle of to grow up without a father was not hurtful. It wasn't like I was I was needing that. I didn't understand when I was young, but I wasn't protected to hurtful days. So if I think it'll open up things. I explain it to you like this. Little examples like going to a father and son banquet, and looking around the room and that part for a kid, it was humbling. And so I enjoyed the fact, like, dang, you know, man, and the fathers would gather around me. And, you know, they saw, I think people saw uh just like maybe like the lostness sometimes. Nobody coming to, I'm a great athlete, and nobody coming to the games. Running track and winning state, and nobody coming to the game. I paid attention to stuff like that, but I took it as a compliment. So you know, I guess this platform I got to do that because, like I say, you know, what I mean, he's telling me to do it. So I'll put it like this: myself, and I don't share things with a lot of people when it comes down to uh, maybe my purpose when I was born was that I had so many things that could have defeated me, from being fatherless, right? From being in a very, very private place, like a sad place, that, you know, people had great hearts, but I just found ways to find good stuff. I got you. So one of my saviors in life is that we had a little black and white TV. Faithfully, I sat on the floor, and the most consistent friend I ever had. I always laugh about this because I got a hard time for this. Mr. Rogers. So Mr. Rogers put me in places like, and being in Mississippi, you know, that was very important to me. So I learned how to tie my shoes. If you pay attention to how I move, right, that's him, right? So I made friends. I enjoyed my neighbors. I went to make believe land, right? So if I did that, being where I'm from, it kind of took all the pain away. As people would look at me and probably expect me to fail, because like I said, I want to share this as far as, like, I don't want to be disrespectful to my mother or anybody, but, you know, like I said, being fatherless and then not being part of my sibling, probably not wanting to be part of coming in the world, because when I came in the world, it was not a disappointment, but more of I interrupted a lot of things. I put it like that. I let people read between the lines. So I just came in with no love. You know, from the birth, I came in with no love. And so my mom was always attentive, but my sisters were great too. But I just had no protection. So easy target for bullies. Even adults, I look back and I say, like, why was that adult mean to me? I'm a kid. Like, it's crazy. Why would you be so passive aggressive? And that's all right, cool. And I would still be kind. So just that's the part for me that I always shine no matter what happened. Now, sometimes that I get disappointed. I remember arguing with God as a little kid sometimes. You know, I was just that close with him. That's the crazy part. My relationship is always legendary. I was always close to God. Can't tell you when he came. He's been always there. Sometimes I think it's crazy that people don't think he exists. So I try to persuade them. But I always say, Godspeed, that's on you. But it's real hard for me to sit back and really be ever disappointed, because the greater your adversities are, I always tell you, the greater your adversities, the greater your like outcome you'll go. It's like you something. So the devil attacked me in many ways, as far as just trying to break me, because look at the message. Look at the message I've been carrying the whole time. So being young, he attacked me many times. So it was like I couldn't understand, like, why, like, bad luck, why me? And then as I start understanding my purpose, my message, my strength, I was like, oh, that's why you know, try to depress me, break me, things like that, because look at what I'm impacting now. Wow. And so I think, like, a lot of my friends that grew up with me, you know, they would tell me, like my brother-in-law said one time when I left Mississippi for the first time and I came out to Cali, he said, the gangs got bad. Now, what to tell a man? Like, oh, that's my fault? Yeah, that's when you left. Now, I didn't understand, right? When you left where I was from, the gang got the kids. And I was like, I didn't understand it, right? So I've come out here, and because I was always like the kind guy, right? So the kids and the teenagers turned to gang life after Tracy left. Man, to hear things like that, like, that's mind blowing to me, right? So I'm like saying to myself, when I was home, the way people treated me, like sometimes like I didn't even exist. But the kids, I didn't see it then. And so as I come out here and I work with kids with mental or behavioral or, welfare issues and things like that, it's super easy. It's like the easiest thing in the world. You know what I mean? All I'm doing is showing kindness and it's genuine. Something that the adults didn't show me when I was young, some of the adults. And I remember kids say stuff out loud later on. Like a kid, for instance, moving fast forward to today, a kid would call me or text me and it said how much that meant when I was just, simple stuff. You about to go to sleep at night. You don't have a father. The kid been beaten down. And then Tracy is at a group home and cut the light on. I come in the room. And you got two kids in the room. And I just do these rants. They bedtime stories, pretty much. You know what I mean? And tell them who they are. And, for me, and then I move fast forward. To me, great guys like y'all too, and like be brothers with Eric. You got to understand, see, I know Eric's story behind the scenes too, as far as conversating with people. He don't have to be there, but to hear people say these genuine words, I'm very appreciative to be brothers with Ellsworth. You know what I mean? Brother Ellsworth is, he's amazing. I give you that. You know what I mean? We are brothers in destiny because our kids say so. You know what I mean? And we say so. So
right,
as far as
man.
things
Appreciate
like that,
it.
I can identify that. It's just a fact. That's what I'm saying. That I can't believe sometimes people doubt God. They told me, hey, cool part. They said, you can't talk about God in school, Trey. I said, you can't pray with the kids. And it's funny to me. See, I had this when I was young. So it's like easy. I don't have to identify anything. All I have to do is be the example. Because they're gonna say, how you, I'm like, I'd be like, it's Godspeed. I say things out loud so the kids can understand, like to teach gangsters or teach kids that are coming from the streets at a tight-knit group home. And I'll sit at the dinner table. I didn't ask you to pray with me before I eat my food. I didn't ask you to say grace. I just show you the example. They said, what you doing, Trey? I said, I always pray with my food. I'm grateful. And it becomes habit. So all these things become habit. I know I'm inspirational, and that's fun for me. So when people are like, man, you worked all day, I said, well, I played basketball. I crack jokes with the kids. I help the kids. My life is golden. I may not be the financial mogul of anything, but I've never concerned about that. I'm just always concerned about how I leave this earth, and the book of life is real. And right. You will make sure when it comes to you, I always tell you, just make sure you can look him in the face. Because it like every man struggles with like discipline, but once you get it, now you have became a man. Like all you have to do is try, and it's a threshold. So anything I learned the hard way on how to be, just like I say, I when I say stuff, my wife's like, watch how you say things. And I want the audience, and I want y'all to understand, sitting on the back porch, you know what I mean? Nobody can ever look me in my face, ever. There's no stronger guy. I'm telling you, I'm saying out loud, I'm fearless. I earned the fact of being fearless through the fact of like all my hardships. So sitting on the back porch of Mississippi on the trailer, and I asked God, I said, God, like this is testimony. Watch. And it's just weird, right? Nobody, they're like, that can't be real. Like I sat on the back porch before I came to California, and I looked up at the sky, and a lot of my friends know this story. With tears in my eyes, I said,
take your time, man.
Yeah. When y'all open up stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the testimony.
Well, let me do a quick summary, and then I'm going to bring you back to when you're looking up at God. But so what I'm hearing from you is, luckily your grandfather was an influence, and he kind of bridged the gap, and he introduced you to God. He gave you that foundation, and then Eric asked you the question, did you ever not believe in God? And there was a lot of tough times you had to avoid in your life because you didn't have a dad. You had all those, the troubles of not having money and things like that. But what that was, in a sense, was a gift, because God made it so it not only just like made you very confident, but you're able to overcome. And I think the most important thing, Tracy, is it makes you relatable. So in any situation, you've already overcome those things, so you're able to relate to these people and in all different ways, and they see your heart, how you're grateful. And you said something, one other thing that you said was, you might not have a financial empire, but look at the people that do. How often are they happy? Usually they're miserable, but you're filled with something different, something special. So now, to bring you back to the porch before you move out to California, you look up, and what do you tell us what you said to God?
I think the most cockiest thing, like I said, I want to say this right. You got to put yourself in my shoes. I said, I want to go out to California and be the greatest man that ever existed with no purpose and plan. Mm-hmm. I asked him that out loud, because I just definitely, why not just reach for the stars? Like, just say something like that, right? And
right.
Look what I'm just saying, it's crazy to me that, whatever anybody outlook what the greatest man is, I tell people, for me, is to like impact the kids. Like, I just always played basketball, always took time, patience, love, board games, Uno. I just always took time, because that part, was is important in so many ways. And so I didn't know, what I mean? I swear, I said that, and when I came out, it's like the thing I never could wrap my hand around it. I wasn't even controlling stuff, and everything was just falling in a certain order. And I'm like, dang, what I mean? The job of working with kids with behavioral or mental, issues when nobody else couldn't. It's like, so I'll throw you so I'm working in a group home, and I'm grateful. And I'm like, wow, they said, hey, this group home is hiring. And I'm like, what's a group home? They said, it's a place where kids go that are foster kids or having some issues. And I'm like, well, so what do you do all this? Like, well, you kind of look over them. You take care of them. You care for them. And I had just left Mississippi, and I was working in an asylum with the mentally impaired, like viciously. But they was my favorite people. That was my crew. The clients I took care of in Mississippi are dear to my heart to this day. They I don't know, it's just mind blowing. So I come out here, and I got offered a job to take care of kids, and nobody else wanted to do it. They was actually giving bonuses out. When you get hired, you get like, I think $200 extra. And I thought it was crazy. I was like, so I come in, it was raining the first night. I don't want to identify the place, but I went in and I saw a group of kids just like sitting around with another worker, my counterpart. They wasn't doing too much, it was just rainy night. And he was trying to train me and show me the bedtime routines. And one thing I can do is I like to have fun, right? And everything, if you do it with fun, you straight. So what I did was, I'm sitting around watching the kids, they like bored. And I saw a pack of Uno cards. They didn't want to go to sleep. So I played them in Uno, and I say, I'm a legend in Uno. I've got it. And I played them, and I say, if I beat you, you got to go to bed. So I eliminated each one and sent them to bed. So they asked me for a while, like every night, they were like, Trey, can we play Uno? And that ran out, and then one of the legends I used to do, I used to tell them some bedtime. So I sit in the hallway in these 3 bedrooms with 2 beds, so 6 clients, right? And they'll be like, I pull out a book or something to read them a bedtime story, and they'll be like, we don't want the book. All right?
Yeah.
We want you to make a story up for me, Trey. Mm-hmm. And I would because what I would do is I take the personalities, and I just felt like, it's an adventure. And we'll take this adventure, and I kind of get them like that Tom Sawyer, get them in some type of situation. And they just always enjoyed it. And so a lot of my children, a lot of kids I raised, like I have one I'm real proud of. He's a politician down in San Francisco. Thank the Lord. He's a great politician. I have, some juvenile delinquents at that time that grew up, became men that got their own construction business or, became lawyers. These are, and they give me that homage. And they be like, Trey, if it wasn't for you. So, looking back up, like I say, I didn't mean anything cocky. I just said to God, can I, like I said, that's not the way, guys. I just, let me express this because I definitely, somehow, some way, I think me being from Mississippi and California, I think a lot of people always want me to, what did you say? Did you mean? And it always puts me in a situation of like, I feel like I wasn't heard, or I feel like, so I'm trying to tell y'all without a doubt, when I say I wanted to become the greatest man, I meant in my world, right? Mm-hmm. In my world, greatest man is like, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I own a nonprofit that works with kids like I was. I'm working for a high school, right? I'm a coach. I'm also a referee for the county. Teach kids the game, keep parents at bay, respect your kid, let the kid learn, right? That ain't fair. You got your opportunity. So I need for you to be quiet and don't embarrass your baby. So I'm helping sometimes bring the parent ego down. And I say to myself, that's what I identify myself. For me, to show my son and his friend what that looks like, right? So thank you. That's the part I want to put out. That's the great man to me, right? That's my world.
It's but I'm the board behind me. Our friend Ryan Jeremiah actually helped me draw this. So you probably can't see it, but there's the three circles, right? And it's supposed to be, you could use it for anything. Like, what kind of man do you want to be, right? Or what do you want to do with your life, right? And the top circle is, what do you love to do? Bottom right is, what are you good at? And the bottom left is, where can you make the biggest impact? And the center of that is your sweet spot, right? And so you think about that, and I think as you're talking, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Tracy, man, he's the epitome of just operating in a sweet spot, right? Because you're doing what you love to do the most. You're good at it without even trying. You don't even. It's just natural, right?
Right.
You're making a tremendous impact, and that's. Man, if that's not a representation of God putting one of his children right where he's supposed to be, I don't know what is. Hey, I do have a question, and I'm curious, because my guess is maybe some of the youth you work with watch this, or anybody for that matter. And I'm somebody that's not maybe a Christ follower or believer in God. And that's watching this, and they're watching your life and how you're actually living your life with so much gratitude in what started out to be odds completely against you, right? What would you say to somebody that's kind of exploring this God thing, right? A youth that's exploring this God thing. What would you tell them?
Well, it's always, like I said, like one of my processes with my head as far as like, it's gotta be depending, right? I'd have met people that, worship Satan, and met people that don't believe in anything, you know what I mean? And so what I would like do in a situation like that, from me to you, is I always tell you sometimes just to see when you do good things, right? You see this like magic happen. When you do bad things, it's just that simple. You're going to see some bad things happen. It always goes down like that. So I try to make sure to at least, because I think when you open your heart and you do good things, like just nice things, kindness, that's like the God frequency. You can't tell me. Like, it's funny. If you put them in a situation and you do nice things, You do thoughtful things. It's a peace that comes over you. And as a human, it's just like breathing. It's just like, hydrating yourself with water. It's like a natural thing. Once you understand, or like my main thing is awareness. Once you're aware of something and you know how to do it, it's just a totally different mindset. So it's not that I would ever have to do examples, do situations. I think it's like one of those things that like kind of confuses me sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you, to a point, like I said, how do people not? You know what I mean? I'm not indoctrinated a program. I'll be honest with you. I read excerpts out the Bible. I've never read the Bible fully through. And it's like I tell people, like me, one of my friends, he's a Muslim, and he talks real deep about things, and he got a great understanding. And he says, "How do you pray to God, Tracy?" I said, "I just ask him a question, and he answers me. And if I don't get the answer, I ask another question that leads to another question to another. He eventually answers me in ways that I can't really tell the next person. And so, it's unexplainable when it's like in your DNA. So I just feel like he's in everybody, and you just got to be aware of that, and you can see it. But he said something in the Bible, like, if you seek me, like, it's like, dang, like all you have to do is seek it. Like, just go for it. Just like talk to him. He becomes vivid. Like, we know this. Like, we're men. I can look at you and tell God plays a major role in your life. You can look at a person and tell if God does it. And so I will always make sure that every youth I impact, I am going to give him the keys to the Cadillac, because I'm going to make sure I plant a seed. And I plant seeds in many ways. So it's nothing bad. Like, you know what I mean? If we praying at the dinner table, or you bowing down on your knees, or you just in thought, I teach you how to get there eventually when you become a man. That's my gift to you. I teach you how to have a relationship with God. Maybe not at this time, but I remember when Tracy said, it's coming, because that's fairness. And that's the part where I think they separate a lot of us. Is like, it's God's speed. It's not, I can't make anybody believe anything. I can show you and I can be an example, but I feel like I say that seed, once you plant it, it's no telling when it's gonna harvest. It might be 65 years old, and then it hits you through, you got cancer or something, and all of a sudden you have to go through the process. But he's gonna come to you when you least expect it, or like I said, I was lucky. So it's in me, because I got to go to the river with my grandfather. You know what I mean? Think about this is how blessed Tracy is. My grandfather takes us to the river to baptize. Country boy.
Awesome.
People could pay money to go see stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? I look back at I'm in a white tent. My grandfather started out slow. He'll come to the church, man. This dude was amazing. He'll come up, talk real slow, peaceful, greet the congregation. As a little kid, not having a father, because I got to pay him homage. I got to. Greatest minister the world, the South has ever seen. I promise you that, because he was the example. So I would sit in the front row, and I'd be like, man, I'm so proud of my granddad. Look at that. Like, because those times is like to see him start out slow and be excited to hear the piano pop, and him like get into a conversation. See, all 7 of my grandfather's brothers were great ministers. And that's what I tell people. Like, I'm hacked, because all my bloodline is those guys. And so that's why I have a way of like being fearless, and I can talk and I can conversate. It's in my genes. So it's like, it's not that I'm against anybody that thinks differently, but I sometimes get a little thrown off when I'm like, it's just so easy, but then it's easy for me. And so when I come to California, I sometimes say to myself, California is one of the best places I've ever been in my life, right? My family growing my family up here. But it's like, for me, it's a lot of divide. It's a lot of divide. It's a lot of divide with a place that is so rich. It blows my mind, the options and the ungratefulness. Is mind blowing to me. Now, this community that I live in, Oh boy, that's the greatest guy. Look, again, I always tell people, look, one of the kids said, you know what I mean, when I got here, they said, don't nobody. It's because y'all, like, other people don't know what I do as far as like being the reason I rep El Dorado County or Pville, as the kids call it, is because this is my spot. I love the people. I love the work ethic. I love the like, you know, I found out what a church was. I found out through my granddad how churches move, right? And then through life, I just kind of didn't see it. And then when I came here, I saw, you know, Green Valley doing their thing and Cold Springs doing their thing. It's like wow, this is how church. It's like the community is so great. Sometimes I even think they forget. Because I had to remind the kids, like, yeah, like, you like being from Pville? And they'd be like, you know, I'm going to move, or it's all right. I said, boy, this is where they found gold. Do you understand? Like, where you from? Like, that's when I say people take it for granted. I don't. Yeah. I'm like really, really thankful for it. That's God play right there for me. I pray about it. It becomes true. My daughters, like, look, Lauren, Francesca, and Bianca. The most beautifulest names ever, beautiful girls. Prayed about. Trey Jr., we call him Junebug. That's my Junebug. And that'll be Junebug to the day. You know, he get old. He always be my Junebug. And I'll tell him his story later on. But I definitely, like I said, I'm very thankful in so many ways. Before we go to an end or anything, I just want to make sure when I talk and we rant, I love how you and Ryan, y'all listen. And y'all help, y'all come right back to a point like, okay, Trey, you said this and that. Could you go? Y'all do a great job with this podcast, these conversations and things like that. I just want to thank y'all for even putting in work and time to do this. Because a lot of people, like I say, you know what I mean, they're not able to, and at the same time, there's a lot of different options. So y'all boys are truly, it's like destiny, the duo and the dynamic is fun. It's like cool. Like, all right, you know what I mean? We can talk serious topic, but y'all make me feel so comfortable. So I just want to say great job. Thanks for letting me rant, because my rant has something in it and I don't know what it is sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. But going back to you, so it's pretty clear to me that, and I think that's why you got emotional, was because God answered your prayer, and
He did.
And he put you in a spot where he could use you to glorify his name, and by doing that, he made you one of the wealthiest men I've ever met. You're rich. You're rich in relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And you're able to impact people. And I think that is really fulfilling. So, I mean, if you're able to measure Tracy and, you know, contentment and happiness and love and all the things that really matter, I mean, you're boiling over. So it's great to see that he answered your prayer. And yeah, you're, like I said, you're one of the richest guys I know. So I think it was a pleasure to meet you and to hear your story.
Yeah,
Robert, I just want to put it out there one more time.
Yeah, do it.
That locker room. The locker room, like so now the girls have Tracy Bunch, like, you know what I mean? Like, they so dearing to me. I'll always look at the kids, you know what I mean? I've raised a lot of children, not just to do it, it's just fun, right? It keeps me young. I can still hoop, I can still run, I can do all those things. So it's fun because I got to keep up with them. But they don't know who I am. It's funny because these locker room speeches, just always remember, this is God. Again, God, this is us. I go from this team has been put together. I got to get a girl's homage. It's a team from scratch. And, God bless the head coach of the varsity. He's a great guy. And he cares a lot about the program and bringing a lot of pedigree to El Dorado High School. Great guy. He's worked so hard. I appreciate to work side by side with him. But being in the locker room and seeing young ladies grow and giving them a speech to get them fired up, is like they didn't know how to do that. And that's crazy to me, because where I'm from, we get very, very excited about basketball games, and we got chants. And so to see them like identify with me and you know, because there's no respect. There was a lot of respect. So I've been praying to God about, you know, we have one of the best players. Let me give her a shout out. Alana Snyder. Is probably if not the greatest girls player in El Dorado history. Like, this is real talk. This young lady pulled down 26 rebounds in a game. Will Chamberlain type movements. Like, is she just all over the place, right? You know what I'm talking about? One of the best attitudes you would ever see in a young lady, as far as she's the captain of the team, a junior, and she takes her time with each player, build a relationship. Like, I just saw her grow, right? And they don't get a lot of recognition. And I told them, I said, let's make some noise, right? Nobody hears us coming, so it's nice, right? You know what I'm talking about? You can tiptoe. And I pray about it. So I just want to make sure in the locker room, I get them so motivated. I'm thankful for that. And the girls don't know who I am. By the way, my daughter is on the team too. You know what I mean? Bless her heart. She's great at what she does. She's a sophomore. And so she's sitting back. I ask her sometimes, so you hate that your dad coach? Because most kids struggle. And she's like, Dad, I love you being my coach. And the team love you. So that's another God testimony for me, because I'm coming in, look, I don't like to put a lot of color into anything. Because I move off character. I'll break you with my character. So I don't really worry about the color issues. But our children sometimes are not, they don't have the same knowledge that we all have growing up on things. And so they maybe never seen somebody like me, right? They never seen a black man. Like some people say, I went to Folsom Lake College and they're like, where you from? I said, from Mississippi. They're like, oh, you like the real black, like you're a real black man. Huh? I just like, well, that threw me off. But just to fast forward, the safe place I have is like, I've always been welcome, loved. Like some people got that hatred, but to be that guy and to teach the girls, like, you know, what character looks like, what endurance looks like, what resilience looks like, you know, and to make them proud and to see the people start coming to watch the girls play ball and build a program for our young ladies. Our daughters need that. It's for they, you know, just teach them when they go out in the world what that man looks like, right? We keep them protected. And so, like I said before, I'm privileged and thankful to be a part of this, refereeing, having and working with Bill Clark and Gold Country basketball, named after the area that we live in, bringing the kids out of the penal code, giving them a team and giving them confidence and, you know, checking to make sure we got free jerseys, free nice shoes. We play in a league called the West Coast Impact. It's a Christian league. So you say, how do you teach the kids about God, Trey? Look at that. Like these boys playing ball. And like all of a sudden, we praying before the game. All I'm trying to do is be the man that I needed. That's it.
I gotta say how refreshing that was to hear you say about like you paying attention to character and not color. And I just wish there was more of that, because, you know, once you get to know someone's character, you don't even remember what color they are. Hey, it's all about character. And I think I wish we could get to a place where it wasn't about that. That would be my internal.
We will.
But that being said,
look, hey, y'all got me ranting now, so I gotta say it on. When it comes to mind, I'm gonna say it to you. I always ask a man. I said, "Do you think the world is gonna be a good? Like, do you think things will get better?" And I like to hear that sound. The world is gonna be great. The process of us moving forward as a nation, God made America because He needed an example. Because the world's in a bad place, right? So He made these people. And like, if you put them together, of course, people gonna try to divide us. They're gonna try to make sure, because we're the greatest thing to ever exist. And so I actually, like, I'm like John Connor. I know the future. They say, how you know the future? I said, because I have a hand in the future, because I can raise a child. So if I raise that child correctly, when he grows up, he becomes a great man that impacts the world in the place. So as I do my part, there's many like me. And so therefore, the world is going to be in a great place. We're going to be at God's peace one day. But the process looks weird and it looks terrible, because it's people in the world that like chaos. And it's people that look, but my God has did amazing things in my life. So why wouldn't I think or feel or know? Why would I why would I be disrespectful and not know that when I went through all these hardships and saw things? But I know what it looks like. These are the hardships of America growing, what people want you to feel. But then you got to look at, okay, so what does this turn out? What is it going to be? We blessed. We the most blessed thing that ever happened. Like, so if he didn't create us, American things like that, like I always, this is a speech coming from my perspective of me growing up. And they say the most racist place ever, right? The Klan, the hanging, all that stuff. I get gruesome with you, right? My grandfather. So I got to, because I'm on the platform. I just tell you, I've always knew that we're going to be in a great place one day. Because if you can look at that child, that young man is going to be amazing. And when he becomes a man, we actually took a step forward. But who am I to say it's going to happen on my watch? That's very, very, very cocky. So I think the young people that are coming up and coming around, they are so amazing that it scares me sometimes. The intelligence, the maturity, the understanding, and that's what we are here to protect. So as they grow, I will never be disrespectful and say, the world is in a terrible place. No, it's not.
That's right, man.
So that's my mind.
That's right, man. Yeah, no, it's cool to see, especially in this community, how many parents are so involved in the kids. And it's amazing, man. Hey, Tracy, it looks like Ryan, your screen froze.
Yeah, can you still hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, I was gonna say, Tracy just hit it out of the park right there. But and he also gave us our tagline. We can be like, Tracy Bunch, real black man. And then
the real black man. That's
the real one.
The guy said it at Folsom Lake. They walked up on me and said that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, give me a weird look. And I enjoy one thing you would never ever get me to do is, like I say, I'm so thankful to have a fearless heart. Oh my God. Like some people say, how do you do that? And I was like, I guess it's sometimes, like I say, once you get close to God and you see, going through car accidents and gunpoint, stuff like that. It's kind of like you get this peace. I can walk in any room. I can walk in any stadium. I can walk in any auditorium. I can walk in any coffee shop, and I'm comfortable. I don't even understand when people feel anxiety or nervous. And I say, well, you probably need to sit down and talk to self, because that's not something that's natural. Natural is God wants us to interact. So if I go into a building and I just keep to myself and stay reserved, did I do anything like impactful for the day? So I'm gonna walk in and fill my cup, enjoy people, enjoy the old people, make sure the kids understand. Like I pump weights, not because I do it to show like be in fashion. Kids look up to guys that are, as a little kid, I'm thinking about me looking up and I see this guy that's super happy and he's in shape and he's athletic. And he has just a good soul. Damn, I know how the kid is looking at me. And I don't want to let him down. I won't let him down. Awesome. Regardless.
That's purpose. That's purpose, man. Yeah. I love it. Tracy, you are awesome, man. And I want to encourage
you bad too, brother.
I want to encourage you. Don't stop, man. I love your spirit, and you've made an impact on my life and probably thousands more, I could only imagine. And thank you for agreeing to do this, taking the time today, man. Much appreciated. I know that, this will impact quite a few people. So appreciate your willingness to come on and share your heart.
Yeah, hey, anytime, man. Hey, Ryan, thank you. And like I said, Brother Elbert, hey, look, we need you to come home. I'm recruiting you. We need you on the coaching staff. I got you.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. Thanks, Tracy.